Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Reality Realness with 3 S's. I'm your host here, Chantele and Francis, with my amazing co-host, Tanya. How are you today?
I'm well. Hello, everyone. Welcome.
Welcome. So what are your overall thoughts of this darn episode? It's episode 5 of The Bachelorette. If this is your first time joining us here, welcome. Join in on the conversation. And you can't do that unless you subscribe. So subscribe so you can be part of the fun. So yes, what was your overall thoughts of this episode last night?
I think it was maybe like the opposite of what I felt about the previous episode, which is that I was really into what the one-on-ones were going to be this episode, but didn't really care for the group anything that happened in this episode. So kind of a reversal of last week where
That's so true. Like we hated the one-on-ones. We're like, ugh.
Yeah. But I have an amendment to make. Last week when we were talking about Joe and Nate, I said that I thought it was unusual that it had gotten this far into the season and they hadn't had a one-on-one yet, and that I felt that that was late. But I have to say that the data does not support what I said. And I think, in fact, looking at Bachelor data, people who have dates in week 4 and week 5 are either people who win or make it as a finalist. So I think if we're to look at what happened this week, there's a strong chance that at least one of these one-on-ones is going to lead to a finalist, if not both. So I was wrong. This is actually perfectly on par and very so I do not know what I'm talking about sometimes, but I just wanted to share that because that was actually really interesting. It feels like it usually happens sooner, but that's not the case.
Well, I guess if you think about it, like I'm kind of like, okay, with Brian, did he get a date early on? No, he got a date quite later. And I feel like his first date was that shopping date, was it not? His first one-on-one?
Yeah.
And
so that was week 5. He was on week 5.
Same this week.
But Peter had an early date, like from that season. So it's like maybe sometimes a front runner has an early date. Same with Becca Kufrin's season. Garrett technically had the one-on-one date in the 4th episode, but Blake had the second one. So I think maybe that's where I was getting confused a bit. But generally for everyone else, it's like week 4, week 5, week 5, week 6. So we're in the pocket right now of when they usually reserve those dates for.
Wow. I mean, Bachelor data is pretty phenomenal. It's just like, it just gets me so like, the fact that you can make a formula out of like what they're doing is it's satisfying for me. I'm just like, oh, yeah, there's rules.
Well, there's clearly a formula to creating the show, and somebody's taken the time to compile the actual historical data. There's also another one that I'll bring up later that has to do with one-on-one date, but I'll save that amazing stat for later.
Well, I mean, I wonder if it's what I'm just going to bring up right now. Have we seen any Hoojus?
No, but I feel like there must be a ratio difference in them for Bachelorette seasons versus Bachelor.
But I remember Becca, Kufrin, Hooju'd everybody. I just can picture like a wide shot of her like running to every single one-on-one date that she had. So that's where I first noticed it, was with Becca's season. So
that's true. Maybe Michelle just doesn't want to do Hooju's, which is great. Like, why would you want to do something so uncomfortable?
Is it a height thing? How tall is Becca Kufrin?
That's a good question. She seems like relatively tall to me.
She does, but I feel like a Hooju is a small girl thing.
Maybe it is.
Like a 5'5", 5'6".
Don't do at all. It says that Becca Kufrin is 5'7".
That's pretty tall.
If we're to believe the internet.
That's pretty tall.
On another website, it says she's 5'9".
Oh no, I don't think she's 5. I think she's more 5'7" than 5'9".
Maybe between both of those.
5'8", and I think that's how tall Michelle is, like 5'8", 5'9" as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so that theory's out. Have we seen Becca Kufrin do any Hoojus on her real life with Thomas?
No. I don't know.
Maybe that producer's gone.
Maybe. Yeah, and I think they're either around the same height or Michelle's a little bit taller. But either way, we're in the same height range.
Interesting. I wonder if she were to do a Hujo, it would be with Nate, because Nate's the tallest. I feel like it wouldn't be with like Chris S. You know what I mean? How awkward would that be?
Oh my god. Yeah, no.
We have Tamika here joining us. Hey, ladies, doing my Insecure Rebuff at 6:30. Have a great show. Oh, thank you for stopping by. I'm not up to date on the Insecure season, but I will plan on watching it, just speeding through it after the season's aired. So thanks for joining us for now. What did you think of this episode? Okay, so thank you for the amendment here. I wasn't holding you to those words that you were saying. I could completely understand why you would think that one front runner should maybe get a date before they travel. But we were also speculating that we knew that she was going to her hometown, that she might have wanted to spend some of the more intimate or special dates for people that she was really wanting to connect with. Mm-hmm. And so that also made sense to both of us as well. Totally. So you were still kind of right, I'll say.
Yeah. Just, got to know the facts. Facts are facts. So
facts are facts.
Got to share.
So at the beginning of the episode, we got a lot of Minnesota scenery. And I've never been to Minnesota before. It looks quite nice. I feel like when I hear like Midtown or I hear the accent, like it makes me think of it's going to be very hum-dum small town, but it's quite metropolis. I was pretty surprised by how much like Toronto it looks,
Yeah, I thought the same, actually. I was like, oh, Minneapolis looks pretty nice. Maybe because it looks kind of familiar to us in some way that I was like, oh, that looks like a nice city. Not really knowing anything about Minneapolis, really.
Zero.
But hey, I think it's funny how they had to like really try and stir up excitement for them to be going to Minneapolis, mostly in the form of Brandon J. just being like, we're going to Minneapolis, woo! And like trying to like film everyone and get everyone excited. But
not gonna lie though, I loved the plane scene. Like I really was like, oh my god, I like seeing them. Like they actually did have to travel. Like, oh, they are on a plane. Like I thought it was fun seeing the fourth wall be broken there just a little bit. I enjoyed it. Certificate says, great episode. Firmly team Nate, but very scared she'll pick Joe. Interesting. Okay, we're definitely going to be getting into this. So I'll save my agree or disagree till later. But I love both of them. So it's not like that kind of sitch. Hi, Jelly Donut. So Jelly says, hi, Chantele, just stopping by to say hi. I have to unfortunately read a book for class tomorrow, but can't wait for your challenge live tonight. I have some tea. Yes, Jelly. I'm so excited. I saw in the chat on Monday, I believe that you said that you had some tea. So I am looking forward to hearing what you have to say. Yay. So we see Michelle with her parents. Michelle, she just seems to have a really good relationship with them. And I really do enjoy seeing her with her parents. And it seems as though the conversations that they have are really natural. Especially, it was surprising, though, considering, she mentioned that she wasn't always really communicative with her parents. So I really love seeing their relationship and I guess how it's also grown. Mm-hmm. So cute.
Yeah.
So all the men are going to meet Michelle. And what do you think about the piggybacking? So Martin is being piggybacked by Rodney, and then they go over to, I guess it was a hill or something, and they do the Michelle. What do you think of this lead up to this group date was? Or like meeting up with Michelle in Minnesota?
Very on par for how things usually happen when the men approach her. I don't know. It just pointed out to the fact that this group of guys seems to generally have a pretty good rapport with each other, which I suppose I prefer to the alternative, to be honest.
Yes.
At least they seem to be generally, other than Chris S, like friendly with each other. So I'm cool with that.
Yeah, I definitely love the relationship that the men have with each other. I don't understand why, though, Chris S is like, we're going to talk about him a lot, I'm sure, but it's like, what's the point of him making all these waves? Like, can't he just have a good time on the show? Like, it's so
I think,
bizarre.
yeah, I think his arc this episode shows us that he's falling into the, oh, I went into the producer's trap um, situation, i.e., I was encouraged to like bring something up and then I did and like thought I would be this like really like interesting villain, but instead I'm just now nothing.
Like,
That's out
not
there.
interesting, almost annoying. Actually, not even almost, like annoying. He literally is annoying. Like,
Yeah.
what's so we do see Clayton again. So right now I'm on, I don't know if you feel the same, on like Clayton watch. I'm like, okay, is this the episode where we're going to care about him? Is it?
Yeah.
Well, he really wants
Apparently.
to have a date with Michelle. And I'm like, do you even know her? Like, why do you want to have a date with Michelle? It just seemed very contrived. Not that he doesn't like her, it just doesn't seem as genuine as some of the other people that are super into her, you know?
No, not at all.
So Michelle shows up. They're at where were they? They were just kind of in a courtyard type thing. All the guys show up there. Michelle's there, and she's like, "Welcome to Minnesota. I'm going to be starting a one-on-one date right now, and then we're going to have a group date and another one-on-one." And so she immediately picks Joe out of the group to go on the first one-on-one in the hometown. Brandon, Cutie Pie, is quite upset by this because he very much thought he was going to be the guy that gets the date. What did you think of her picking Joe? I mean, we figured it was going to happen, but picking Joe for this one-on-one date and then them walking off holding hands in their home cities.
I think, I mean, it's about as obvious as Blake entering the competition last season and immediately going on a one-on-one. It's just they even knew it too. They were like, he lives here and like knows how to be in the city and show and like go through that experience with her. He has such an advantage. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense though. It's a place where she feels comfortable. It's probably a place where he feels comfortable. If he is reserved, which we know him to be, it might be a way for him to be able to feel comfortable and open up a bit more, which is something that she said she was hoping would happen. So but then like from a production standpoint, it's like perfect, gotta do it, right? Like
Yeah, I mean, I wanted her to choose him as well because he's so cute. So cute. So, hi, Natalie. Thanks for being here. Natalie says, Katie throwing shade at Blake. Never will get back together. So, yeah, so Katie Thurston has been doing some like 12 days of exes, going through different Taylor Swift songs and kind of attaching some of her exes to some of these songs. Have you seen any of this drama that's been going on around it?
Yeah, first of all, it's called 12 Days of Messy.
Okay, there you go. Is that the official name? I thought that was just like,
I think it is.
Okay.
And secondly, it's really embarrassing. It would be really beneficial if a friend of hers just gave her some advice and told her to just stop doing this because it's not a great look for her and it doesn't come across very well. I know like everyone's just kind of like perplexed. And I also don't think it's like having the hard hitting impact that she thinks it does because she's actually not Taylor Swift. I know this would be shocking for her to hear, but it's not really like if any of these guys were on the receiving end of any of these, I think it's just kind of comical and they're probably laughing at it. I know, like, I think Becca Kufrin unfollowed her actually after the Thomas related post. So it's just like, Katie, just like lay off Instagram for a bit. Like, don't go live, just chill out, like maybe step away, go channel it into your comedy or something else. Just like, don't post right now. Like, she just needs someone to advise her to just like step away. It's not going well for her right now.
Well, it's just kind of like, we get it. You broke up with these people. But like, what if Blake is still hurt by it, you know? And as an audience, I mean, I wasn't invested in their relationship, but there are a lot of people that really were invested in their relationship. So for her to kind of like, even to the her audience being like, yeah, he sucks, I don't like him anymore. Like, it's just kind of like, hey, we still like you guys together, and we're mourning your breakup. Like, we wanted you guys to work out. So it just feels like she wants to be funny, but she doesn't know how to land the joke.
And how
Or have
bad could some
timing.
of these relationships have been? Like, it's one thing where you're like, yeah, okay, Blake, maybe there was some messiness there that we're not aware of, or like, Greg, I can understand her still being angry about that or something. But like, half of these breakups weren't even
Real.
serious. No, it's just like, even like referencing the Swift of it all for that is, I guess, kind of on brand. But yeah, I don't think any of these relationships were that deep. So I don't know. Maybe we are just missing her humor completely here. Maybe this is just
I don't
like,
find her funny at all. I think that that's what my big problem has always been with Katie, is that like I don't vibe with her. I don't find her funny, and so all the things that she does that people think are maybe charming, I'm like, yeah, I don't really care for it. So this might be one of those times, or maybe some people are just like, yes, girl, slay, just like, you know. I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know about that, Katie.
you should just log off for the holidays and come back in 2022.
Hi there. Thanks for joining us. So, hi, Chantele and Tanya, first time viewer, subscriber. Well, thank you for joining us. Just wanted to say, love the content and also looking forward to you and the challenge and Drag Race Canada recaps. I haven't done any Drag Race Canada recaps. I've watched it. I haven't recorded any. Maybe I'll do one for like the whole end of the whole thing. Heading to the gym now. Have a great show. Well, thank you so much, Ashraf. Nice to meet you. Have you been watching Drag Race Canada?
I have.
It's okay. Have you watched it in the UK?
So I'm not caught up on UK.
I mean, I'm obsessed.
But I am
UK
watching. But I have a few episodes to catch up.
Lucky you.
I just loved the last UK season so much. So
I know
it's not as good. Compare, but honestly, I support the franchise, so I'm always in.
Totes agreed. Hi, Taboo. Thanks for being here. So welcome to the Bachelorette. Clayton, took you a while. I mean, it's not even really there that much, but hi, Travel the World. And Sarah, oh my God, you're live. Yes. Just was testing you on IG about this episode. Should we look at your texts right away, Sarah, if you're still here? Let's see what you had to say. Because I texted, okay, so we're almost at this part anyways. I texted Sarah because Sarah has been known to not be as emotional when she watches any of these reality shows, and I'm always crying. And so she's like, not a tear, not a tear. So I had messaged her yesterday that there was a point where I was like really crying a lot. So if Sarah, hopefully you don't mind me saying something here. She said, just finished the episode. When did you cry? Are you in love with Nate or Joe? Okay, so you couldn't tell. Okay, so let's just get to this episode or this date. And the first part of it, you see Joe and Michelle. Actually, what did they do first? They went to her school second, no?
They went to the Twins game first.
Oh, right, the first pitch. I don't think that I would be able to do that first pitch. It's so far.
Oh, God, I would be terrible. Are you kidding me?
Like with having everybody there and like on the Jumbotron, and then like if they get in the strike zone, they have to kiss. I mean, obviously they're going to kiss no matter what. So it was cute, but like I wouldn't want that pressure of throwing that ball at all. It's so far and pressureful. After that, they do go to her school, which I wanted to hear if it was in any sort of proximity to Joe's school. Like I wanted to like, oh yeah, my school was down over here. Or I just wanted to hear just a little bit more of like proximity as to like, did they ever actually cross paths and they just didn't know each other? So, but I thought it was cute seeing her high school.
Yeah. Showing him around, showing him her team photo, yearbook, very cute, very, I don't know, wholesome. Just a wholesome start to the day.
I also thought it was interesting that Michelle was driving this date. And she's been driving a lot. We see Joe open the door and let her go in and sit in there and to drive. And I'm like, usually, I mean, I could just be really sexist here, but like, I always find that the boyfriend always drives, even if it's my car. I don't know. Is that just me or am I?
I think it depends on the I think it depends on the situation. Like I know couples where like female partner drives the car and that's that. But then also like there's so many potential combinations of people that could be in a vehicle at any time. That being said, I kind of like it metaphorically because she's driving the season as well.
Driving it.
So I'm here for it. I feel like she's comfortable doing it. She like, I don't know, it sets the tone that like it's her world and we're all living in it. And I kind of like that because she is driving it. Like that's that.
So of course they played a little bit of basketball. Their like flirtmance happens on the court. Like they just like totally get turned on by each other in the basketball court,
Yeah.
which I find is very interesting because it's just not how you get to my heart. But I stand love and basketball. I stand these two and their love and basketball relationship. I find it great. So Sarah wants to know when I cried. When they got to the night portion of the date and they were talking and he was being so open and vulnerable, and I guess I understood from where he was coming from, as like he mentions that he broke his foot when he was younger, and then he had a repeat injury where he shattered a part of his foot. And when he had surgery on it, they put in a pin that was too big, so they had to have more surgery, and he's never was able to play again. And then when he was like crying about the fact that like he went to a depression, and that when all your life is basketball and then you get that taken away, like who are you and what was left? Like, look, Sarah, I'm getting choked up right now. It just really touched my heart so much, and like it obviously touched hers as well. It's that she was kind of tearing up and crying in that moment, and I just felt that like he doesn't seem like the type of man that cries all the time, and he even mentioned that his father never cries. And so the vulnerability that he was showing was so touching, and I totally could understand where he's coming from, having your life taken away from him. So did you tear up, or am I the only softie?
I thought it was like I think what really made this episode for me is that I think the dates were well paired to the individual to allow for maximum impact, for them to be comfortable. So it's almost like the basketball like one-on-one is what kind of allowed him to even like loosen up and just feel comfortable in the space and feel okay, and they can like kind of goof off and do that, which is really, really nice. And then that allows him to get kind of to that space where he can express a little bit more about what he went through and be super vulnerable. Like he clearly holds a lot close to the chest, which we've seen of his personality. And he, just kind of like internalizes a lot, it seems, for him to be like living with a lot of that as a result of the physical injury and all of the repercussions that happened in that recovery process too. Like that's a lot to carry and a lot to like hold to yourself. So it's hopefully very nice for him to be able to share that with someone who can understand and like also similarly had a lot of their identity tied to the sport that they played or like the life that you live. And for athletes in like high school and college, that's such a short-sighted thing where it's like you work so hard for a goal and then either you achieve it or you don't achieve it to the extent that you thought, and then you have to like rethink your life at like 22. Like maybe that's wild, right? So I think it seemed to me like he actually genuinely felt comfortable with her to share that. I don't think he's the type of person that would just say it unless I'm so bought into this performance. But That's
It
my take on it.
seems so genuine to me, and this is where I fell in love with him. I fell in love with Joe, Sarah, because he was just so sweet. Like, it's not that I necessarily like a man that cries or something. Like, that's not what I kind of was attracted to, but I just felt that there was like the wall was completely down, and I felt like I could see his heart, and he just seemed so genuine and wanted to be loved. And then I'm like, oh, I would love you, Joe. Like, he just looked like somebody that was hoping for love, and it just was really endearing and sweet to me. So in that moment, I was like, if Michelle doesn't pick you in the end, I will date somebody younger for you, Joe, because you're
And what did he say? He said, like, thank you for asking.
Yeah.
Like maybe like he hasn't even really been given the opportunity to share. Like maybe people haven't really in his life been dialed into all of that. So I think that was very meaningful. It's going to be a classic, like Joe versus Nate. Like that's where we're at. I don't want to, just wipe everybody off the board, but it's like you can already see the directions and the challenges of that, where it's like, clearly she has a great connection with him. They share the same hometown. They have a lot of similarities and understanding and shared experiences that are very valid, but he is a lot more reserved. And there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. I just think personally, I see her come the most alive with someone who is a more, I don't know, not less reserved, but like Nate brings out something different in her, I see. And I don't know where exactly I stand, but I think Nate is maybe more well suited to her. I think.
I don't know, but I'm with you, Sarah. Yes, I love Joe so much. I melt in his eyes. I ditto on that statement.
He's lovely.
He's so pretty. Like, and I don't know. I just really enjoyed his vibe this episode and their interaction. I can understand that Nate brings out something completely different in her, and I enjoy her relationship with Nate, and I do enjoy her driving the boat. I thought it was pretty badass. It's just like, I just wondered how Joe felt, you know what I mean? Because like most guys that I've ever dated always wanted to be the driver. Anyway, so it's just interesting. I don't care either way, really.
No. And I don't want to suggest that like someone having a more shy personality is less desirable than someone who has a more outgoing personality. Like, not at all. I don't think that that's the case, and that's obviously just generalizing them anyways.
Yeah,
but I just think, like you said, they bring out different aspects of her, and she seems to be most comfortable with both of them. Like, this was kind of just a runaway of like chemistry with these two people, and then like everybody else is on a different tier for me.
Yeah, well, they felt like, to me, like they are dating and they went on a date. Like, it doesn't seem like there's anybody else in the equation. When I was watching them, I was like, ooh, like, is Nate gonna be able to pick it up? Because like, this is a pretty connected date, and it seemed to me that she was really receptive to him. Sarah, I would like to know, were you able to watch them kiss? Because I know that you don't enjoy how much kissing goes on this episode. How was witnessing the kiss between Michelle and Joe? And also what I loved about it too was that there was a kiss on the Ferris wheel. Have you been on a Ferris wheel, Tanya?
Oh, I'm terrified of Ferris wheels. I don't know if we talked about this before. I really don't like heights, and specifically unenclosed heights is really difficult for me. For anyone that's not from Toronto that's watching, you probably have some version of this, but we have the CNE here, the Canadian National Exhibition, and like a really big thing is this gigantic Ferris wheel that's always there. And I like recall going on that when I was younger and just like sitting in there and like looking over the side and just feeling absolutely horrified. So it's not my bag. I think it's something about the slowness of it too. Like, I can do roller coasters no problem, maybe because I'm buckled in and it just happens. But Ferris wheels are really tough for me. They're really scary.
I like I like a Ferris wheel. They don't scare. I mean, I think I like the scariness of it. There's something about it, like I guess it's adrenaline rush. But I found like there's a picture of me that was like I went on a Ferris wheel in Portugal. So that was
Nice.
really, it was really beautiful though. But like it was my second night there, and so like me and my friend Nicole, we basically were the only two people going on it. So we just went around and around, just did like photo shoots on the Ferris wheel. So
That's
it was actually pretty fun, considering. And I kind of like when I hear like the creakiness of it and when it's kind of rocking. So I'm just probably a little bit sadistic here.
No,
And
it's
like
okay.
tempting
Everyone
fate.
has their preferences.
But they do kiss, which I thought was a sweet moment. Okay, so Sarah says no kissing. I'm sure it was passionate and amazing, but I had to look away. That's totally fine. I find for myself, if like I'm not into the couple, I can't watch them kiss because it kind of grosses me out. I didn't mind watching this kiss. It didn't make me squeamish. So to me, that says that they're connected and it's genuine and not icky. If that makes
That's
sense.
saying a lot in Bachelor world too. Them are very comfortable and mic'd. That I think that is what adds the layer of like I can't watch is the sound being amplified so much. It's really irksome.
Yeah, the sound, that's kind of gross. So we get back at the mansion, well, I guess not the mansion, the hotel. They get the next group date card, and it's a group date, and this is where the narrative of Chris feeling as though he is owed a one-on-one date. So they go through all the names. So Casey, whatever, the whole shabam of names. And it ends up that Nate is left off. So Nate will be getting the second one-on-one. And Chris S., who is going to be on the group date. So what do you think about our guy, Chris S's, or my guy anyways, reaction to not getting the one-on-one? And for him saying like, how dare she give him the one-on-one after the information that I shared with her? So I don't remember the words he used, but just shared with her at the last rose ceremony. How dare she?
He should have just started packing up then, because it's loud and clear if you interrupted the ceremony and then put the blame on someone and you both stayed, and the next thing that happens is that she goes on a one-on-one date with that person, just leave. Like it means he doesn't trust what you had to say. Like, why are you still trying to play this angle, Chris? It's not happening. And she's not going against what you said. She's literally just continuing to do her thing and not take everything that you've told her at face value, which was the right thing to do anyways, we know. But yeah, delusion.
Is the problem the fact that Nate's believed that he was going to be getting a one-on-one date and then he got one? So then Chris's anger for Nate being conceited, it's unfounded. Is that why he's I don't even understand why he's upset.
I think he's upset because he pulled her, or not even pulled her, in front of everybody, brought that up, and then she didn't listen to what he said and chose to give Nate the date. Like, I think he sees it as like, oh my God, I went out on the limb to do this and you don't trust me. When really it's just like, you're here because producers forced us to keep you here for a week so that we could have some confrontation in this episode. But in his mind, he's like, I can't believe that you did this. It's just like, what conversations have you had besides that one even? Like, I'm not sure.
And has he been in another relationship? Like, it's so bizarre to be the angle that he's kind of taking with the first approach at that rose ceremony. I'm like, it makes zero sense. And B, his reaction. Yes, I agree with you, Sarah. Get over yourself, Chris.
Yeah,
like, she's interested in Nate more than she's interested in you at this particular moment, even though you decided to throw one of her top picks under the bus for absolutely no reason.
Yeah.
He's so bizarre to me.
Getting played by production and realizing it in real time. Like, I think that was what was dawning or he's just like utterly delusional and like can't really read the situation well. Maybe a little sprinkling of both, but like, yeah, I think like you can kind of tell as people start to realize that they can't trust producers is usually when they start to unravel in their actions. And it's unfortunate, but he was lucky he even made it this far, though, to be honest.
I mean, I'm surprised that he got the rose last week, but I'm sure it was the producers being like, one more week with this guy, just one more week. We need to get our fill of villainness. So Natalie says that Chris S is what a big baby. And I agree, Chris S is just kind of not the guy for Michelle. That's all I can say. But I'm happy that he's going to get me kind of some points this episode. So that's something. So we get to the first group date in Minnesota where all the guys go and meet her at the stadium. And Clayton is so excited because he's assuming it's going to be a football date. And they all get there and you see Brandon, Cutie Pie, running up to Michelle and giving her a big hug. And she calls out the Vikings, which are actually Vikings or men dressed up as Vikings. Were you duped?
I just really didn't. I wrote, this is a mess. I don't know if it was a tough casting call to get these guys in or like what was happening here, but it was just like, what? Okay, so do Vikings throw logs? Like, I'm actually just wondering. I wasn't like sure of these Viking activities.
I didn't even know it was going to be a log throw. I thought they were going to be, I mean, I guess it would be dangerous having an axe, but like, I thought it was going to be to see if they can split the log. I didn't realize it was going to be a log throw. So.
Yeah, very strange, very odd. And they were struggling through those lines that they had to deliver. I really didn't enjoy this group date. Do you feel like producers were like, Clayton, we're seriously considering you for Bachelor, but we really need you to step it up this week to see if we can like really build a season around you. So now you better show up today. And then like the setting was perfect for him to shine, even though I think all of the spotlighting of him was a bit of a reach because I don't really think that he held that very well personally, but yeah, I don't know what happened. Like, did he just wake up like this week? Like last week she had to like snap at him to get him to walk over to her, and this week he's like Prince Charming. Like, I just feel like there must have been some behind the scenes like, hey, you've got a chance at like maybe like being the lead, dude. Can you do something?
Step it up?
Yeah.
I mean, that must be what it is because I didn't feel as though what he did, I agree with you, was a reach. What they were kind of highlighting with him being like this standout Viking. But like he had everybody had to scream and make their whole Viking, I don't know what they called it, but they were screaming. And his was like, it wasn't even a great scream. So had to learn how to scream. I think I might have told you the story before, but when I was like 18 years old, a friend of mine owned this amusement park, but it was just for Halloween. So the 12 days before Halloween or so, it would come out. It was called Screamers, and I was employed at Screamers. So my job was I'd be hiding behind the wall and I'd have to pull down a lever and like a dead body would kind of come up into a window. So when the people were walking by, they would see this and hear me scream and like get terrified. So the first time that I do it, I go and I pull the lever down. I'm like, ah, and like people are just like, because I could see through the people what they were doing. I was like, they didn't get scared. So I learned that if you don't really scream, it sucks. So I had to pull down the lever. I was like, ah! Like I did a good scream and people got terrified. And so I realized you really had to go for it. Mm-hmm. So the reason why I'm mentioning this story is because I didn't feel like Clayton actually went for it. Like he actually was just like, like, right? You know what I mean?
No, he didn't. And it was even funnier because it cuts to Michelle and her sweet voice just being like, good job, Clayton. Like, it's like the response is such a weak scream. But you know who was trying really hard to scream? Rick.
I can't with you.
This episode is sponsored by Rick's Vein. This was too much for me. I had to turn away. Okay, like, come on.
It's the war cry. He's too much. Too much. Thank you for that. Putting things in perspective. He was trying very hard. And it wasn't, they didn't care. Michelle did not care. The Vikings didn't care about how much he screamed. But I'm glad that you cared. You cared. And that's what's important here.
Yeah. I appreciated it. I mean, I didn't, because I actually felt uncomfortable with the lingering shot that got so close to him as he was doing that. And it is like kind of embarrassing and really uncomfortable. You have to let go of judgment to scream seriously in a situation like that. So I totally get it. But oh my goodness, that was too much.
So Nerdtainment says, I love the Vikings and I love that the guys were disappointed it wasn't football. I wasn't disappointed that it wasn't football, but I don't know if I cared for the state though. What do you think about the gross food challenge that they presented to them? So there was a big display of different foods that were definitely dubbed over with some sounds of crunching when they were eating the fish heads. How'd you find this task?
This franchise has a really bad habit of presenting delicacies as disgusting, which I think is a North American issue when it comes to cuisine. However, my biggest issue was who just bites directly into a I
don't know.
Isn't that dangerous?
Brandon.
Like, can't you choke? Like, I was so concerned for the way that they were consuming that fish. They were just chomping right in.
Yeah. I mean, I probably would do it, but it didn't seem like the way to enjoy this food.
They could, like, crispy enough that they could.
Chris S. didn't think that he was going to be able to do it either. He was kind of...
This was Chris S.'s challenge audition, and he failed.
He failed.
Completely failed. I wanted TJ to emerge and just, like, yell at him for quitting, because he had a bad attitude this date, which gets called out later.
I want to make that my screensaver. Rick. No, BB. Thanks for being here. Not a real dead body. It was like a fake, like, dead doll, bloody doll.
Yeah.
LOL, I think Tanya is still upset with how they presented poutine that season. Yes.
And
they did a terrible job with the poutine.
Terrible poutine representation. It's embarrassing. And as we've discussed, not something that lends itself well to TV.
Time.
You just have
to TV and cold.
Like, to time. Yeah. If it's cold, oof. No.
I mean, cold poutine is still okay, but I personally hate when potatoes get cold and kind of granularly. And so it just ruins poutine for me. It has to be like piping hot.
Oh, for sure. But also what I was referencing is like there was one season, I can't even remember which one now, but I want to say they were in like Thailand, and they like were being served a bunch of food, and like some of the girls were like like eating just like regular food from wherever they were, and it was just like presented as if it was like them eating something strange, but it was literally just like eating out.
Absolutely.
That's kind of an issue that this show has. The poutine representation, while sad, I don't know if they made it seem disgusting. That's a different conversation.
Yeah, they tend to do that on Amazing Race and Survivor as well with balut. I know I've been called out before being like, it's a delicacy. And I'm like, well, I don't eat eggs anyways. So, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like the whole idea of eggs kind of always grossed me out. But I can totally understand it being like a delicacy in I think it was the Philippines. And like that people do actually really enjoy that. So, yeah, I mean, I do call it gross food challenge just because of the challenge. But I guess I should be a little bit more respectful to other cultures' food and maybe call it something else.
Well, it's just like,
Viking meals.
yeah. This was like clearly them trying to like put things texturally that were more difficult to eat. Kind of like the challenge does. So this was a little bit different, but either way, my eyes are on the Bachelor franchise. They're always doing weird things like this that are just like under the surface.
So, how did you feel about the arm wrestling portion of this date? So, the people that went up against each other, we had Chris S versus Olu. I was surprised that they put him first, but now I realize after why. Olu obviously wins. Rodney versus Brandon. Rodney wins. Martin versus Clayton. Clayton wins. And with his war cry and his log throw and his arm wrestle, Clayton is the ultimate Viking. Agree or disagree?
Rigged. Rigged. This was rigged. This was like, how do you rank this? Who yelled the best? Who threw a log the furthest? Who won arm wrestling? Who ate things of fat? Like, I'm not really sure how anything was being quantified here. And it doesn't even matter. They were just gonna make Clayton win anyways. So thanks team. Like, it just felt very
Contrived.
like we knew where it was going. We knew where it was going the whole time.
Yeah, as soon as Clayton won that last thing, and then that she doesn't get to pick the winner in her eyes, I was like, oh, yeah. They got the memo. They got in your earpiece, like, okay, pick Clayton as the ultimate Viking. And they delivered that. So he didn't really receive anything in the moment from her. Like, he got to stand beside her for a second and accept his new title. But I thought that maybe like they would get like a mini one-on-one at that moment or something. But nope, nothing. Were you surprised by that as well?
Yeah, I was like, what's the point of winning?
But if it was all dubbed, maybe it was all dubbed over and like it didn't even actually happen. It was like Brandon that won it.
Yeah, they just added that in after.
Right? Like, possible, kind of. So when they're leaving, though, they're like, I'll see you guys later. And Brandon gives her like a kiss when he leaves. I really like him, but I really find that their relationship is a little bit too juvenile. It's so cute, but it seems high school to me. And I just don't see him getting married. And now I'm wondering, though, did you watch the previews for the next episode? Or the future episodes?
Like this season? Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not sure, but I'm thinking that the father that says, like, I don't think that he's ready yet, I feel like it's Brandon's father. And I can see Brandon not being ready yet because he does seem like he's just having a good time and he's fun and he likes Michelle and he has this little flirty relationship, but I don't know if he's had enough of those relationships to go and get married and get down on one knee. You know, he just seems a little bit young.
At 25 too, like how old he is. Something around there. I think maybe 25 or 26. I don't know. I agree. I mean, like, look, he seems great. I like him. He brings like a fun element to it, and I like their connection. But on the scale of Joe and Nate, he's not in the same conversation.
Oh, sorry. I just been educated. So AJ says it's actually Nate's stepdad saying that. Interesting. Okay.
Oh. Okay.
Oh my goodness. That's shocking. Oh no. Oh my God.
It's probably not bad in context. They're probably isolating it to make it seem like it's like this deal breaker, but like really in context, it's gotta be different. They love to lead us astray.
That's true. Hi, Tara. So Tara says that they had to make food seem disgusting by calling out that there were flies all over it. Yeah, it's true. I mean, they didn't make it look appetizing. Absolutely.
No,
I was like,
that
I
wasn't
don't know.
the intention, that's for sure.
Definitely wanted it to be hard to consume. So at the night portion of the date, we see Michelle talking to the guys, and I loved how she addresses that she was thankful for them to acknowledge that what she had said the previous group date, where she didn't feel like she was being seen, and that she recognized that people were trying harder. So she's really great at giving people props when props are due, you know, like reassurance, like, hey, I recognize that you've done that. I think it's a really positive reinforcement that she's really good at. And I think that's probably her teacher skills kind of kicking in there.
Yeah.
So Clayton and her have like a little mini one-on-one. And this is where I was like, he does not have any chemistry with Michelle. Because he asked one of those kind of cookie cutter date or questions where it's like, so what makes you you? Huh?
Have you always been this confident? That's what
that's what it was. Like,
have you always been this confident? No. Like, what? Like, what kind of a question is that?
It's kind of like, so when did you become so how did you become so sex positive?
Exactly that. And she said to him, she was like, and she meant it by way of compliment. She's like, you were very present today. That's kind of a backhanded compliment, I think.
Yeah, it's like,
you're very present today.
I just found that I'm like, when it was just very forced and pushed, I felt their conversation. And I was like, I'm not buying them together, and I'm also not buying him as the Bachelor. Like, I don't care at all.
I'm totally out now. Like, you're like, maybe, but now I'm like, this is like, the lead is like a rock, like a large rock. That's just the lead of the show. Like, what is he doing?
Wow, Brandon's 27. Holy,
okay. He's older than I thought, but still, I don't know. I'm acting like that's so much different than 30, but it is. It is.
It is. He hasn't gone through his Saturn return yet, you know?
Exactly. Who knows what's in store?
Saturn return is a thing. So he's still, that's probably maybe why he's still considered like a kid to me, is that he hasn't like had that life shift energetically to like grow up as an adult. So speaking of Brandon, he does interrupt their date, and they have a cute moment where it seemed they called it a Viking. Was it a Sweden? No, a Nordic fish.
Yeah,
but it was a Swedish fish, correct?
I was like, what? Okay, so I love Swedish fish. It's like one of my favorite candies. And I was watching this with my partner, and I was like, is this their way of evading like a copyright situation by referring to them as Nordic fish instead of Swedish fish? Or do they just
try to keep it on theme? Maybe keep it on theme.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. Brandon isn't making it to hometown. She's not meeting his dad. Is this a speculation, Sarah, or is this fact?
I think I could see him in Final Four.
I see him in Final Four too. Right now, I'm thinking my Final Four is obviously Nate, Joe, Brandon, and Rodney, and maybe Rick. One of those five, like Rick might be in there, and I'm like, I hope Rick's not in there, but I do think that she's going to keep him at least till Final Five. So
those are definitely the ones that have like the closest possible reason to make it to hometowns. Yeah, especially after this episode too, like how it narrows down to everybody who's left. I'm like, oh, some people are like really not far along in their relationship, and a lot of people are. I think probably Brandon should get a date next week. I'm assuming he's like the only like contender really left, as much as I would love for that to happen for Olu. Feels like he's kind of getting screwed over in terms of this. So I think if he has a successful one-on-one next week, I think he's a lock for hometowns.
So Nerdtainment is saying that he has a crush on his teacher. I think that's what it seems like to me. Like Michelle's like the older, like, you know, 4 years old, 3 years old. How old is Michelle? 28 though? Or not 29, 30?
I think she's 30. Or is she 29? One or the other.
These are facts. Oh, wow.
Really? So
That's
then is it Rick?
Shocking.
No.
Shocking.
She's 28. Wow. I forgot every age.
Stat.
Sorry,
I mean, I remember all their astrology signs, but
I was literally like, she's 30. He's 25. I was just like throwing these things out so confidently.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's surprising. Oh wait, you know no facts? Oh wait.
No. Okay.
Okay, so
Not
I thought it was
not
like I
confirmed.
know no facts, but
Not
it's
confirmed.
no, I know no facts. So you know
Okay.
nada. I know no facts. Okay, so we'll go
We're still
back
on.
to 4, not 4, maybe 5.
Hopes are
Yes,
still
not
high.
facts.
I
Thanks,
particularly
thank you,
want
Sarah.
this because I think Nate is the front runner, so I need every other one of my guys to make it to hometowns. That's where I'm at. I need them to come through for me and my
Hope
team.
so. Yes, yes, she's unspoiled. Yes, I understand now, BB. I get it. I get it. I'm sorry, I misunderstood. I thought it was no facts. I know, no facts. Anyways,
No.
I so anyways, it was a cute moment with them on the stairs with the Nordic fish. Um, she likes hanging out with him, but he just seems like a child to me. The relationship is very, very juvenile in a high school kind of way. So I could
But
see him having
they're
that.
in age, apparently. So I don't know if there's that much of a difference. If
I don't
he's
know what
20,
it is though.
28.
When I was that age, like I was a party girl for sure, but like I feel like I was still acting more mature, you know? I don't know. I was 28. I don't know. I don't who knows? Maybe it's a Canadian thing. So Nate is back at the I don't know, hotel. And it was really, did you find it awkward that Joe was reading the date card to Nate? And I was just like, okay, you guys know your guys are the two front runners. B, like, you guys are seemingly good friends. Was this awkward? How many times did you have to do takes? What were your thoughts about that little sitch?
I think it's probably not that awkward because Joe's like not drama. He's just the guy's like barely reacting through life. Like he's just constantly just sitting there quietly and chilling. So it was probably fine. Like
And
it's
the
better to spend the time with Joe than God knows who else could have been there. You know?
true. That
So
Rick. Imagine having to spend that time with Rick. So his date card says, I'm looking for a man who isn't afraid to test the waters. So Joe teasing him is like, hope you can swim. I'm like, that's cute. They're both so cute.
yeah.
Oh, love them both. So we then see cut back to Chris S is starting to spiral again. And all I wrote down beside it, I'm like, this is odd. It's odd. He's an
Yeah.
odd duck for how he's executing these producer plans. It's just kind of like you're just very strange, Chris.
He's just like breathing deeply and angrily, but then like not using his words or using any actions. He's just like stewing in the corner. It's odd. Like
Well, and
communicate.
our guy Clayton ends up getting the group date, Rose, and he's also really upset that she didn't pull him to speak to him. And I'm like, why does she need to do that? Like now that she's gotten people to start coming up to her, like they are coming to take her away to have conversations with her. So you being like, I'm waiting for her to say something to me because it's going to prove something that she respects what I said to her, like at the roast. I'm just like, what is your thought process?
She actually didn't even prioritize a single second with you. So again, pack your bags. Like these are very clear indicators that you're not in a good position. Although my favorite thing is how the guys are just coming for him, but not even like really giving him that much energy. Like at one point, Olu said to him, that stunt you pulled and that killed me. And then also after this rose, I think it was Brandon where he's like, Chris, you've got something to say. You've been smacking your lips. So, and just like threw it over to him with that
Who said
line.
that?
And I was like, I think it was Brandon, but I can't remember specifically. And I was just like, thank you. Thank you. Let's just air it out. Clearly, you're not. Tell us how you feel.
He's in and he's shocked. Shocked. Shocked? I'm not shocked. Why are you shocked? So we get to Nate's.
This is like that Pikachu meme. Like, we're not actually shocked.
So we get to Nate's date, and she wants to have a house on the lake. It's kind of what it's reminding me of is Muskoka and like having a house on like the lake in front of Muskoka. Which lake is that? Is it Huron?
Oh my gosh, I don't know. I'm gonna embarrass myself now. I have no idea.
I actually don't know. Very embarrassing, and I've been to Muskoka many times in my lifetime. But I would love to have a cottage in Muskoka, on the lake, on the water. It would be so key growing up. I would love that.
Georgian Bay is right there.
Oh, that makes of course it's Georgian Bay. Sorry, I actually did know that. And so I'm feeling it's like similar to that, like kind of vibe, like going to that area for summers and whatnot. And so that's kind of like the Minnesota dream, is to have a house on, I can't repeat the name of the lake, Minnetonka. And so Michelle's there driving that boat, teasing Nate. They have pretty good banter, which I definitely enjoy. And so she decides to do a little poorly played misdirect. So she says, okay, I have to tell you something. This isn't just going to be a one-on-one. It's going to actually be a group date. And he's like, okay. And she's like, oh my God, my friends are going to be joining us. And like her friends come out and join. I was like, it was just not a very good misdirect. She might need to brush up on her acting skills a little bit.
She can't be everything, She was already a teacher and athlete and lead. So, I mean, Ali and Tia, her friends, coming in for the pontoon ride around the lake.
I've actually been on a pontoon recently. So at a friend's wedding, we went to his partner's parents' house, and it was like they had their gorgeous home is on the St. Lawrence River. And so at a sunset, they took us all around like in just like groups, and we're just like drinking champagne and on the pontoon, and we're just traveling up and down like the St. Lawrence River. It was pretty spectacular. I love a good pontoon ride. I love a little boat, summer boating.
Just you putt around, go on a little booze cruise, chill vibe.
So good. Yeah. So I love the vibe for this, and it would be very enticing. You're like, I can get down with this as my summer activity, on the weekends or whatnot. So the friends start quizzing Nate, and they ask him if he has any problems with people in the house and whatnot. And Nate does divulge the situation that he has with Chris. And he did it in a way that was so much better than he did it when he was confronted one-on-one with Michelle the day of. I thought that he handled it very well. Do you have any thoughts about this?
I was going to ask you how you thought he handled it.
I thought so well.
I thought he was very relaxed and very confident, but not in a way that was off-putting. Like, he navigated the questions well. I think he didn't get petty in any of those answers, but also didn't lie about what was happening. Like, he just like kind of explained certain things. And you could tell they were definitely like reaching with a lot of those questions to try and like pull tea out of him. But I thought he handled himself very well. It's not easy to just suddenly meet someone's best friends, and then you're also being filmed and you're also playing 21 World, basically. Like, I think he navigated that very well.
Absolutely. And he did seem to gain some rapport with her two friends, especially because they haven't met before. I can see them all hanging out together. It seems like they accepted him quite immediately. And I believe one of the two friends even said, like, I wasn't expecting to like him, and I actually really do. I really like seeing them together, the way that they look at each other. There's something there. So they seemed really genuinely excited by this connection, and there didn't seem to be any red flags that they shared, at least with the camera, about their interaction. So I thought he handled himself so well. I was really happy to see that, because I didn't want this Chris situation to negatively affect Nate even more. But I did not know what was to come. I did not know. So we cut back to Chris talking to Martin, who went from somebody I was like, oh, he's kind of good looking. And then last week I was like, he didn't really handle that well, but she kept him. So I'll give him a chance, to him now to me being completely unattractive. And why is he always latching himself onto the new villain and like having, the banter with the villain? Like, Martin, I got my eye on you.
Just like the reaction, I know it comes later, but the reaction when called out on his comment about high maintenance females, and like then how he kind of vented that experience to the guys, I was like, I'm not loving the energy that you're bringing to this right now. I just think he's like, maybe it's true, like he's not a super emotional person, he's not a super vulnerable person. I don't blame people for
Answer.
being reserved on this show, but it's like, what are you really keeping to yourself that you actually think? And like, what are you trying to like hold down that is not necessarily the best thought to be having? And also, like, high maintenance, like, you have bleached hair, like it looks like it takes a long time. Like, I don't, like, that's not easy to maintain. You have like designs shaved in, like there's things happening here. So I think he might want to be careful about that statement.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a second. Absolutely. So Sarah says, why is Martin always there for the villains? Exactly. I think it's really problematic. I think that it's because he's not actually interested in Michelle. He doesn't have a storyline or anything to talk to her about. So like, he's just trying to make himself relevant to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Giving advice, like, it's just very bizarre, actually, him deciding to even talk to Chris in this way and like supporting him and his actions. So we see Chris is worrying that what he said fell on deaf ears and kind of is being irritated by the fact that she didn't listen to what he had to say. And I'm like, you're a big problem, dude. Like, oh my God. So this guy,
thinking about you as deeply as you've been thinking about her. Like, he's like sitting there like thinking about this so intensely, and she's just like having a nice time on a boat. Like,
right? Just like chilling. We go back. So this is cutting back and forth. I'll do the back and forth of it all just because they actually end up winding up together. Spoiler alert. So Nate and Michelle, really, they do seem like they're also already dating. They do the cleansing jump off the boat into the water and the typical kiss in the water. They do look like they're already dating. And I really like them together as well. But I just find like I have like just a heart's connection to my Joe. But if she chooses Nate's on my team, so that's fine by me.
I think there's one big difference between the two that was very it stood out to me while watching this is Michelle. So like typically the structure of these dates is that the person that's on the date with the lead kind of reveals or like goes deeper or is vulnerable with them, especially in the night portion of a date. In the dinner portion with Nate, she became very vulnerable and she shared the history of her toxic relationship. And I think that she wouldn't just share that unless she really did feel something with him, that she knew that she could talk about that safely with him. Because she didn't share anything like that with anybody else. Maybe it didn't come up or it was coming out of what he was talking about already. But I thought that was very telling that she was able to go there with him in a way that we haven't seen her go with anybody other than, the things that she already talked about, like on the group dates and stuff. But this was like a very specific like situation where she was talking about like a past toxic relationship that was very serious and like had a really like big effect on her and a huge impact on her life. You don't just share that with somebody that you don't trust, I don't think.
That's a really good point. I didn't think about that at all. And if I put it into perspective with the Joe of it all, the Joe, she's taking care of him And yeah, you're right. She's allowing Nate to take care of her. And that's a different level of vulnerability. So, yes, she had maybe a safe zone with Joe and they shared a moment, but she feels safe with Nate at this point. I totally agree with you. And I can totally get behind that, putting him a little bit more out in front with Nate. That really works for me. So Nate does say that this is one of his favorite dates that he's ever. No, she said it was one of her favorite dates that she's ever had. And he's like, really? He was really kind of taken aback by that. So someone just had a comment. B Bean says, does Michelle like Nate more than he likes her? What do you think?
Hard to say, but I think it's reciprocal.
Yeah. Right now I do think it's reciprocated, but I'm curious though, with the soundbite for the rest of the season, someone says like, I'm afraid that she likes you. You know what I mean? Like someone says that, or there's a voiceover. I don't know who says it. So that's worrisome. Do you think it would be Nate out of all the people left that might be she likes him more?
It could be. It could be.
So Sarah says Nate and Michelle have some karmic connections. They generally have chemistry astrologically. So, well, Nate is a Cancer, if I'm not mistaken, and Michelle is a Gemini. But I know you popped up at one point there. Was it their moon signs are compatible? I can't remember now what you'd. I saw you post, Sarah. So if you can remind me, I do want to see what their karmic connection is. And I do also want to share this with you, Tanya. Good point, Tanya. Frosted Tips looks very high maintenance.
Yeah, blonde hair is not easy to maintain. That root growth is real. And I think that is something that requires a lot. And even just like the way that his hair is buzzed, like the precision and everything like that requires maintenance.
High maintenance. Yeah, absolutely. So then we start seeing our guy Chris going somewhere, like getting into a car, like he needs to talk to her now. He needs to interrupt her date with Nate somewhere. Obviously, he had to get this address from the producers because he has no idea where they are.
Yeah.
So they're on it, which we know, but makes it official. And he literally goes and walks up and interrupts her date and says, I need to talk to you. And Nate's face is like,
The face he made. Wow.
So she's just like, okay, and goes and talks to him. Just what are your thoughts about this entire segment?
I just like that they didn't even attempt to explain anything. It's just like you might as well have showed us the producers calling the Uber, sending him to the date. Like this is ridiculous. Why? I like and they just like were like, whatever, he's going there. Okay, we buy it. He's there now and he's gonna have this talk. Like he can't. I think it's just it all feels so weird because it's not justified by any action. Like we don't buy that he cares about Michelle. We don't really buy the beef between them. I don't buy that she even cares about him at all. Luckily, she paid him some respect to just like even be polite to him in this situation, when she could have been way more rude. Like I don't know. It was weak. It was a weak attempt at like creating a moment, and for me, it fell flat. And it was embarrassing for him. Like that was just embarrassing to watch. It wasn't enjoyable.
And then when he's talking to Michelle, he's like, I warned you. And I remember I saw her face. She's like, excuse me? And she came back in a way that like I wouldn't have been as composed as she was. I'd just be like, you're ridiculous. Get the F out of here. I can't deal with you.
She didn't even go down the escalator. She was like, I'm not going down the escalator.
No. It's like bye. So I was really impressed that she kicked him to the curb in that moment. She's like, yeah, I don't think that we're on the same page here. It's time for you to go. So I'm happy that that's done. I will take 5 points for this interesting date interruption. I guess it's a villain move, villain. It's not really an argument, but it's an interruption. So
yeah, for sure. Definitely like cutting into a one-on-one, unheard of.
Who else has done that? Didn't Blake kind of? No, it wasn't a one-on-one. It was a group date. That was bad too. Oh my God, did we forget about that? That was
not
bad.
good. Not when it happens.
So of course, though, she comes back, and Nate. I love that he does have that confidence, which was what Chris turned him off or put him off. But he's just kind of sitting there. He didn't think that anything that Chris was going to say was going to be able to mess up what they were having. And did she even bring it up? I don't even think she did. I think she just went directly into the rose and gave him the one-on-one rose, which I was happy about.
I think she was just like, he's not my person. We're like, okay.
We know.
We know.
Now, with your data, your Bachelor data, you also had another fact that you shared with me this week. Do you want to share it with the peoples?
Yeah, so Bachelor Data actually did a fireworks analysis, which is correlating how far the contestants go when they get a fireworks date. And the answer is pretty far. In the last 2 seasons, the fireworks dates were Greg, Grippo, the legend, and Brendan. So 2 big players that ultimately weren't finalists, but maybe because they both self-eliminated. Prior to that, the person with the fireworks date was Peter, Pilot Pete, Peter Krause, Robbie, and then prior to that, Sean and Josh. So if you get the fireworks date, you are either moving to the end or the ring winner. Obviously, they reserve the pyrotechnics for like they don't just give this to somebody that's not really in the mix. But it was cool to see that data. I think it's really telling in terms of who they choose to put in that light, because it's very fairy tale, like very like big romance, like cinematic moment, big gesture, fireworks, explosive, all of those things. So
and so we're going to track this data because Nate does get the fireworks date. So the first one of the season. So we can expect him now to go, we'll say at least to Final Four or be the winner. So if Bachelor data is accurate and we can follow this trend, that is how the trend forecasts. So that's really interesting. Love Bachelor data. And so I get 5 more points for those fireworks. So we got, and he got the rose, so 5 more points. So yes, I'm catching up. I've been taking forever to put together the spreadsheet because there must be a faster way, but just because I don't know how to use Google Sheets as well as maybe somebody else does, I'm like doing it line by line and doing the sum. So I will have it by next week. We'll be up to date with these numbers, these stats of who's doing better points wise for our draft teams. So we get to the cocktail party and we see your guy, well, he's my guy, but Rick and Michelle talking, and they go for a little stroll. I loved her dress. It was kind of like a rusty brown and had a cutout. She looked great. And they go and they leave the cocktail area and they go for a stroll outside. Is that usual?
No, very unusual. But I guess they saw that piano and were like, you guys want to walk outside?
Oh yeah, I'll give myself 5 points for like a little slow dance with a piano outside. That's a mini date if I didn't say so myself.
Also, Rick says that he would move for her.
He does too much. Like that vein is indicative of like how much effort he puts into everything. He's a tryhard. I believe that you do have good intentions, Rick, and I appreciate. There was a really good picture that I saw of him on Instagram this week, so I forgot to share it with you, where he looked quite handsome, but he just does too much. Like even the dancing, I was like, I'm not feeling this, and I just not feeling him, them. Yeah, as a couple, nah, nada, not me. So they dance. They kiss, obviously, the piano outside. Then Rodney, I really like Rodney too. And they were outside on the rooftop and they talked about, I've never seen a view like this. I'm like, are there people that have never been in like a building before, like a tall building?
That was making me anxious. That was like, when they were gonna yell off the side, I was like, don't lean over the side. I was feeling clammy.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. We know that I'm not scared of heights really. But like he just seems so, I've never been up on a roof before and see like other buildings. And like, it's quite familiar, but
He's like,
that's
whoa,
just
this view.
whoa, whoa.
All right.
But I still like it. And they do scream together. It was first going to be I love Minnesota, but they changed it to we love Minnesota.
That was also a not committed scream
Not
from
committed
either
scream.
of them.
I need commitment in these screams, not committed like Rick, though.
I want all of Minnesota to hear if that's what you're screaming.
Yes, yes.
Use your diaphragm.
Thank you. You should say that to my teachers when I was younger. They hated it. I used to get in trouble so much for laughing. Or sleepovers, I'd get in trouble. I'd be at like my best friend's house and we'd be like laughing at all hours of the night. And like they'd be like, Chantele, shh, quiet. Like, you're not coming back over if it's this loud. I'm like, sorry. I'm hilarious and have a loud laugh. So, but thank you though. Thank you. So Michelle is talking to Martin, and this is where we get this whole conversation that we kind of alluded to already before, where he mentioned that she's not like the type of girls in Miami. What kind of girls are these? Oh, they're high maintenance. So what's a high maintenance?
Females.
Females. Oh, high maintenance females. I'm sorry. Thank you for the correction there. And she's like, what's a high maintenance female? And I'm not even sure what he described. But she's like, you actually didn't answer my question. Like, what is that? Like, what kind of qualities do these people have? What he couldn't do it. And he seemed to be reacting like how does she not understand what I'm talking about? And I'm like, this guy might not be too bright.
High maintenance females is taking the mantle from disgruntled females.
Right.
Which was really strong. But you know, this is a new frontier for females everywhere. We're now high maintenance. I don't know what he was expecting with that comment. It didn't really land very well. But then where he truly lost me was when he said that it was a miscommunication on her end when he was explaining it to the guys. Like, he was like, essentially trying to blame her for the misunderstanding, which is like, there wasn't anything to misunderstand. Like, she actually directly asked you to explain what you meant by this statement, and then you weren't able to do that. So it wasn't a miscommunication. I was like, oh, now you're trying to like play it like she
is not smart enough to understand what you're talking about. So.
Yeah. No.
He's a no from me, a hard no from me. Oh my God. So just back to the Chris S of it all, though. So we have B Bean saying that Chris is a commodities broker. Does he really not know how he's going to be perceived? I want to hear some, like, is he going to go on Bachelor recap or whatever? Like, I need to hear his opinion because, like, I don't even understand his MO like at all. He's very surprising to me. And I agree with you, Sarah. Yes, he was so embarrassing. How did he not think that that's the way it was going to go? Well, maybe he was just trying to go out with a big bang, get himself locked on Bachelor in Paradise 2022. Because I would think he'd be a lock.
Actually.
Like 100% lock.
But I think he's done now. Like, I don't think we even want to. Oh, well, you never know what they'll do. They've brought some people back that make no sense. So TBD, but yeah, I don't know what he was thinking.
Yes, just Madison. Rick does feel desperate. I think that's what makes me uncomfortable is that he's just like trying so hard. It doesn't seem genuine. And I'm like, what are you trying to fill with like this need for her to be in a relationship with her? I think she's great. Absolutely. But like, you don't know her well enough to know that you like her as much as you're acting like you do. You know,
he's just striving for acceptance and he's trying really hard to like make it happen. He's well-intentioned, but yeah, it's kind of hard to watch a little bit sometimes because he does seem like a nice person. He does, like,
absolutely. And I want the best for him. I just don't know if it's going to be Michelle. Well, I know it's not going to be Michelle. Hi, Lily. So Lily says Martin is used to women eating up him saying absolutely nothing, and Michelle's too smart for it. Yes, absolutely. Michelle's too smart. Like, I mean, maybe in Miami, women aren't going to call him out. Like, be like, I don't know. It's just very, very low intelligent level conversation that they end up having, and I was not impressed by how he carried himself at all.
He seems like
I
a
found that
character from the Fast and Furious universe. Like he seems like he belongs in that world.
because he went on the race car date.
And just his general essence is giving me like Fast and Furious vibes. It's giving me that embodiment of masculinity. That's what it's giving me.
Not he just went from like I thought he was cute before, and now I put down he got so unattractive. That's what I wrote about him. I was like, ugh.
No.
Nope. So we do get a rose ceremony, and I'm like, thank you for sticking to the formula. Week 5, we haven't strayed off track here, which is great. So the people that got roses, obviously we know the 3 people that have it are Clayton, Joe, and Nate. So joining them will be Rick, Olu, Brandon, Martin, and Rodney. So Rodney was the person that was scared, not Martin.
I know.
I
thought that was weird.
Very surprising, but I guess they need to have like who's going to emerge as the villain after Martin leaves next week. That's the question.
That is true, and I don't know. It's got to be someone.
Olu?
I think it's gonna be no. I'm trying to think of the preview. I have to think about it. Well, I guess it's still Martin.
No, Martin's leaving next week, but after that, who's going to emerge?
One of their top picks. That's how it always goes.
Oh, wait, doesn't Nate get another, like somebody else is getting it coming for him? I feel like someone else comes for Nate. Poor guy. He's just like, sorry, he's a front runner and that they have a connection, guys, and he's 6'8". Like, just like let the man live his life. So we're saying goodbye to Casey and Leroy. The outtakes was great though. They talk with she's with Olu and they're talking about African food, and so she's trying some bites of African food. Have you ever had African cuisine?
Different types anywhere, sure. Like Ethiopian. There's a lot of great Ethiopian spots in the area that I live, actually, and I love like anything where it's like a variety and like bread. So they like serve everything on like a super spongy bread. It's delicious. But yeah, I've tried different types of African cuisine from different regions. I'm always into it. Everything I've tried has been really good.
So the only thing about Michelle so far that I didn't appreciate or like, and it's a little bit of a negative tick in my book, is that she can't handle spice and that she asked for a glass of milk. 2 things that I'm like, I love spice and I don't drink milk. Like, so those are the 2 things.
Like eat a lot of spicy foods growing up.
Fair, but like you should still eat spicy food. I love spicy food. So that's pretty much all that we have for you today about this episode. Anything else in the episode that you wanted to talk about or in Bachelor Nation? Do we care about the fact that Peter got married?
Or Ben? No.
Ben? See, there you go. I don't even know who it is. Same guy.
Did I save something today? What was it? I thought I saw something. Wait, let me see. Did I save it? Maybe I didn't because it wasn't important. There was something I saw on Instagram. Oh, yeah. That Hannah revealed that her and Peter hooked up while he was the lead. Maybe. Sorry, this is a total example of someone just reading the headline and not reading the article. Surely, like I didn't dig into it, but I saw that come up on the gram.
I did see that as well. I have not investigated that as of yet. So yeah, I don't know what's going on with that or why she needs to divulge it. But it's a book that she wrote. Did she write a book and she's spilling all the secrets?
Yeah.
Should we read this book?
I don't love her, so probably
I don't either, but like just to know what she has to say. Oh, okay. We have some more tea here. Andy Dorfman has a new man. I think I also saw that, but were they not showing his face or something? Wasn't that like the whole thing that there was an Instagram post, but like nobody knows what he looks like?
Oh, so. Okay.
Something like that. Yes. Females. You can hear the disdain in your voice, Tanya. You couldn't hide it. Yeah. I mean, he was pretty distasteful. So surprised that not surprised, but surprised that he stuck around. She's probably just like, oh, okay, fine. So 4 times in a window plus one more. Say again?
So this is from People, which is where this article has come out. It says, Hannah Brown reveals she hooked up with Peter Weber while his Bachelor season was airing. Quote, Peter told me he'd quit the show if I wanted to be with him. At a February engagement party for Dylan Barber and Hannah Godwin, Brown and Weber began talking and then left the party together. Quote, he was like, I have so much to tell you. The chemistry just wasn't there. It just sucked. And then I found out he had another girl, Maddie Prue, on his mind. It was also bizarre. So this is really not that interesting at the end of the day.
It's slightly interesting, though, that, like, he's a bit of a player.
Well, he's just, I don't think he knows what he's doing at all. That's very clear.
Well, thank you for that. Thank you for everybody here in the chat. If you haven't done so already, follow Sarah over at Nerdtainment. She does some Bachelor recaps with David, and I think she has them tomorrow, Thursdays. So join them as they discuss this season as well. And then I'm on Nerdtainment with her on Mondays, where we talk about Survivor and we rank the players. So definitely follow Sarah as well. And hopefully you guys follow me here, but if you haven't, please subscribe. We're definitely trying to build a community of people that love talking about reality TV. I will be going on later tonight after the episode of The Challenge to talk about this week's episode and maybe about all of the aftermath of, like, Leroy came out with a 30-minute video talking about his experience on Dirty 30. So we probably will have a bit of a discussion about that as well. Yeah, so please, the video,
I watched it yesterday. Nash linked it to me and watched it through. I think everyone should, if you're a challenge person, definitely check it out and hear what he has to say in terms of his experience. It's like, yeah, very vulnerable of him, but I hope that it helps him navigate some stuff that he's been really holding on to through that experience and forgives himself for a lot of that stuff.
100%. And so I did upload that video. So if you want to find it on my channel, it should be here. So you can take a look at, it's about 30 minutes long to what we're kind of talking about here with Leroy and his experience with Camilla, racism, and the producers of MTV's The Challenge Season 30, Dirty 30. Thank you as well, Sarah, for being here. Everybody in the chat, you guys are awesome. Yes, yes, yes. We will see you next week for sure. Same time, where we'll talk a little bit more about The Bachelorette. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Tanya. Bye.